Greetings, good folks. So in this video, I just wanted to make a quick video message because I know that, you know, there's a lot of different energies that, you know, we may come in contact with, or that we may experience with maybe a neighbor, with family, with friends, in connection and things in this time, in this particular season, in this particular time, because, you know, it's the holiday season. Obviously, Thanksgiving is tomorrow. There are a lot of different energies. There's, like, you know, there's grief, there's sadness, and then there's a lot of excitement, and there's a lot of joy that's being spread as it should. And then, you know, a common thing is that it's very common for people to have issues within their relationships or within their family connections, all of the above, but especially like family and friends especially. So, you know, I spoke about the topic of forgiveness in one of my previous videos that I recently uploaded over the last, I want to say, few days. And I talked about forgiveness, and the reason why I want to bring this up is because I know that may be, you know, a part of some of the challenges that people may be facing in this season, especially when we talk about family, because they say, you know, Thanksgiving is family day, and the holiday seasons, of course, is for family and friends. And also, you know, I actually tuned into a sister who was, you know, also talking about that topic of forgiveness. And I think that, you know, it's really, I think that encouraging forgiveness and, you know, spreading messages of forgiveness is I think that is very important. And the reason why I think that is very important is because, you know, they say that when it comes to forgiveness, it's not for the other person who offended you, but more so it's for yourself. And then they say that unforgiveness, or holding on to resentment or unforgiveness, is like drinking poison and expecting the other person to experience it and experience the effects of that negatively, is essentially how the saying goes. So that's one thing. And then another thing that I want to bring up is that when we talk about living in unforgiveness and refusing to not forgive people, it's like something that it works on your health. It works on your body. It's really not good for your health. So what I also want to offer, because I am empathic, I am compassionate, right? And I understand people. I read people pretty well, if I must say so myself. And for the most part, I would like to think that I'm pretty good in human relations, or, you know, knowing how to interact with people and things of that such, right? So with me understanding, and with, you know, things that I have experienced in my life, one thing that I will offer someone who has gone through something, or something that hurt them, or something that offended them, or something that bothered them, is, you know, it's kind of like grief in a sense, right? If you are dealing with hurt, or you're dealing with grief, like, you want to have that compassion for yourself, especially if you're like a people pleaser or someone with a big heart, because a lot of times we give that compassion, grace, and empathy for other people, and show love for other people, and, like I said, that compassion, but a lot of times we don't give that to ourselves. So I want to encourage people who may be having challenges, or is, finding difficulties in moving those feelings or those emotions, and maybe, having a challenging time with forgiving, to, at least to put it in your mind and say that, you want to have the intention that you want to forgive. So you have that in your mind. But just like grief and just like unforgiveness or things that you go through, a lot of times it's hard sometimes. So, you want to give yourself that grace and compassion where you are giving yourself time, the time that you need to heal, the time that you need to overcome whatever that emotion or whatever those feels are, to overcome whatever the offense is or whatever it is that you're feeling, because it's valid. To give yourself time to move that energy, or to work through that, to where you can reach the level of unforgiveness. Or if it's grief, to work through and give yourself time to reach the level where you find comfort and your heart is comforted through that time. Because people they like to put time and timelines on the time that it takes to heal from whatever. And when we're talking about grief, that's a whole nother thing, a whole nother level. So first you have to give yourself time to work through whatever that is. Give yourself time, because they say time heals all, and a lot of times time does heal all. Give yourself that time, allot yourself a certain amount of time, or however much time it takes for you as an individual to be able to heal from whatever it is that you have experienced, to heal from your experiences, right? And then when you reach a level where you feel like in your feelings that you're ready to heal, or you're ready to heal and forgive, or if it's a grief from a loss, a lot of people have dealt with losses from people transitioning. And a lot of us know how that feels, especially if the descendant was someone that we were very close to, So definitely, I don't hear a lot of people talking about giving yourself the grace and compassion for however long that it takes for you to heal through whatever it is that you need to heal through. Now, the next part that I want to talk about is why, on what the other side of forgiveness looks like, because I know what that feels like as well. I have learned to forgive a lot of things and a lot of people. But like I said in the previous video that I recently uploaded, like a few days ago, I was saying that, when you're dealing with, trying to forgive, you forgive people, we forgive people, and we send them off lovingly. We forgive, and then we release that lovingly. And that's, whether you want to reconnect with people, or if it's something where you feel as though it feels better to not reconnect, to protect your energy, to protect your vibration and your energy, and also to maintain in peace and to maintain in a high vibe. Because a lot of times, even though we forgive people, some people, and rightfully so, they choose not to re-engage or reconnect with certain people because they have found peace in their healing, because for whatever reason. So for the sake of your peace of mind, definitely wanting to forgive people so that we're not carrying that resentment, and then ultimately it's like poisoning our body and poisoning ourselves. Because at the end of the day, the way that we feel inside is the way that our body responds to us. And I know that firsthand from experience. So that's very important when they say forgiveness is not for the other person, but it's for yourself. Also, on the other side of forgiveness that I have found is that when you forgive people, it just feels so good because you're in a higher vibration. I actually I read in a book, I forget which book it was because I read so many books, but I can't think of it right at this moment. But I actually read in a book where it said, if you want to test and find out if you really forgive someone, think of that person that you needed to forgive, or who you felt wronged you or offended you or whatever. Think of them, and if when they come to mind, if the thoughts pierce, if it makes you sore, sour, or salty, or whatever, if you have negative thoughts about them or negative feelings or emotions about them or towards them, that's how you know that you haven't forgiven them. So again, that lets us know that if it doesn't make you feel good, it's not good for your body. It's not good for your health. So always wanting to live with a thought and intention that you want to forgive someone for your sake, and then really for their sake too, because some people, it's like if we wrong people and people don't forgive us, and if you have a conscience, then 9 times out of 10 you're not going to feel good about that if you have a conscience for however you offended someone. So also it blesses the other person to forgive them, right? I understand that there's different levels to this too that I also have to mention, because some things is really, really hard to forgive. Some things is almost unforgivable. But even in that sense where it's one of those things where it's absolutely unforgivable, we still want to figure out how to move through that in however much time that is necessary for you, so that you can heal. That is the key word in this, to heal. So many people need to heal from certain things, and so many people are going to, a lot of our life experiences are going to require healing, because there's so many things that we have to heal from, whether that is physical, emotional, spiritual, mental, whatever, what have you, right? So it's for the other person for sure, but it's more so about you. And then, back to what I was saying about the other side of forgiveness. When you forgive someone and you release that, and you let that go, right? Release that lovingly, release them lovingly. It breaks the attachment, because essentially it keeps a hold and an attachment and a memory that keeps playing. Not to say that you should forget. We forgive doesn't necessarily mean that we forget. But what I have found in my forgiveness is releasing and letting go lovingly, right? But always keeping, our brains want to protect us, and that's just the fact of the matter, right? And while our brains want to protect us, not saying that some people, like I said, there's different levels, not to say that everybody is an absolute threat, but we don't forget, because our brains keep a record, and then it's kind of like we figure out how to move going forward, if you're going to continue to be in contact or connection or relationship, or in family, on whatever level that it is, right? But as you have released and you have let that go lovingly, and just sending them peace and love and light energy, it helps to heal yourself, and then it raises your vibration. So your vibration is high, because you're not, stuck on negativity and whatever, and the offense, essentially. So where one door may close, there are other doors that may open, and they do. And then as some people leave your life, then other people come in. And that's the beautiful thing about life, whether that be your family, whether that be your friends, whether that be people in business or on a professional level. As people move out of our life, people move in. And as some things leave our lives, it makes room for other things to come in. And it's a beautiful thing. It's a really good feeling. It's a really good vibe to say, hey, I forgive you. I release that. I release you lovingly. And I'm going to live in peace and harmony, joy, high vibe, and keep this beautiful smile on my face, because it's contagious and it just feels good, right? It feels good because, when we incarnate in this world, and when we come in this world, I was about to get real deep and like on some metaphysical stuff, because I was going to say, we're love, but I can't really say that that's for everybody that is birthed into, this incarnation. But I think that I would like to think that the majority of us are, by default, we are in a love energy by default, right? So it feels good to be in loving energy, joyful, positive, high vibrational energy. I don't think that the average human being wants to move about the world in their day being angry, being irritable, being unhappy, being resentful, being hateful, or living in unforgiveness. We have to honor how we feel, though, and that's just the thing. That's why I said what I said at the beginning of this message, because we have to honor how we feel. If we don't know how we feel, we can't move through that, quite frankly. So from my experience, I just wanted to drop some gems that might be able to help someone. When you forgive and you're able to get through that, darling, it's going to feel so good when you're able to get to the other side. And the other side of unforgiveness and the forgiveness is you just feel good, right? And then you have that love within yourself to pull up out of you, and then you share that, because people are not sharing what they don't have. I said that in a previous message too. If you are love and your joy and your high vibe and you feel good and all of these things, then you tend to embody that, and then you share that. So if I'm high vibrational, right, and people that get to experience me, or people that know me, they know that unless something is going on with me or I'm having a bad day, my vibration and my energy is usually high. I'm usually smiling, or I'm saying something nice to someone, or I'm giving someone a compliment. My mannerisms and things, going in certain businesses, going to and fro in certain vicinities with different people, you know what I mean? And it's very contagious. I have a very contagious energy. And I was going to say not to butter myself up, but to butter myself up just a little bit, right? Just a little bit, because I know how I am. I know me. I know myself very well. So I have that to give. I said that to say that how I feel inside, and when your vibration is high and when you feel good and it's all good feels and everything, you embody that, and then you tend to offer that to other people. But people, they can't offer what they don't have. So if we're encountering people who are angry, who are low vibrational, who are sad, who are experiencing grief, hate, or whatever, extreme low vibrations or whatever, that's all they're really gonna have to offer. So that's why it's a work, and it's a work in healing. But life is healing is a lifelong journey, because there's just so much. And then we figure out how to deal with triggers, we figure out how to deal with our traumas, and just so many different things, because it's just the nature of life. It's just the way that it is, but then always, working through that and figuring out how to address it, how to work through it, and then how to get to the other side of it. Because if we don't acknowledge that we feel what we feel, to validate our feelings, how can you work through something that you don't know what it is? You can't identify, you can't address it, so you don't know how to work through whatever you can't identify. So identification is always a good thing. Identifying how you feel, acknowledging it, validating it, feeling it, and letting it process. And then after we process what we're feeling, then we just let it go. Some people say, as far as like anger and things like that, you feel it, acknowledge it, let those emotions like work through you, and then let it go. That's different, because then you're talking about like irritability, something that irritated you or made you mad or made you angry or whatever. But if it's something that you feel like you're offended and you really have to forgive that person to let go of their resentment and things, then it may be a process, and you want to process that. And then again, we want to let it go lovingly, right? And it's not to say that, because I don't want to not live in integrity or to be a hypocrite. So I'm not gonna send out this video message and make this message to make it seem like that I never experience negative vibrations, or what will be considered low vibration things, or negative vibes or whatever, because there is a lot to me, if I must say so myself. And there's certain situations dictate certain responses, if you will, right? And at the end of the day, you have to be able to protect yourself, whether that be protecting yourself mentally, protecting yourself on a spiritual level, an energetic level, an emotional level, especially when you talk about internet stuff, because sometimes people need to protect themselves on the internet. And then, of course, as I always teach and say, protecting yourself physically, right? So it's very important. And I guess that's the best, nicest way that I can say it without saying the dual nature of myself, right? The other side of me. So, you know, yeah, that's a deep one. That can be a real heavy one sometimes. The topic of forgiveness. And I know firsthand. That's why I'm saying that. But I also am aware of the time, this particular time right now. And I just wanted to share some gems, or what one might find as some gems or some jewels, you know, that may help some people. It could be just a simple reminder to some people, you know, more so than not, doing this for yourself, for your health, for your mental health, for your physical health, and for longevity. Because a lot of people, they fall ill to different things. I was actually talking to someone that's really special to me, and we were talking about the health of you know, certain people, and how people they ended up in bad health, and in bad different ways because of their life experiences. And it almost made me emotional just to think about it, because I know that it's really a thing. So we have to preserve ourselves. And that's one of the reasons why forgiveness is so important. We have to preserve ourselves. We have to preserve our health. It's like, screw so much of what, you know, what the other person has going on, but do that for you. Do that for yourself. Okay, so yeah, that's, people make it, I just want to say this real quick and then I'm gonna end it, because when I think about it, people, they say it and they advise and they make it so simple, but when you're in it, it's not that easy. So with everything that I said, don't forget that it's for you, but just take the time that you need and don't take too long, right? Because you have to think about your health and your well-being first, okay? Sending you guys much love. Have a beautiful holiday. Be safe out there. Peace, love, and light to you and yours, and much ashe.